Step into a dungeon where the air tastes of iron and sorrow, where the ground trembles with the footsteps of monsters and the ghosts of a village lost. Released on July 16, 2025, Episode 3 plunges you into the clear lake stratum, now a battlefield where hope is a currency more precious than gold. At its heart is Boxo, the vending machine with a soul, voiced by Jun Fukuyama with a mechanical cadence that somehow carries the weight of human longing. Each stock phrase a cry to be more than metal, to be seen. His companion, Lammy's, brought to life by Keith Hondo's raw, trembling ferocity, is a young hunter whose blessing of might makes her a titan, yet her heart fractures under the weight of a home reduced to ash. Have you ever carried a burden so heavy it threatened to crush your very spirit? Lammy's does, her strength a double-edged sword that both saves and isolates her. Then there's Hulami, voiced by Katomi Ehara, whose sharp wit and alchemical genius are a flickering candle in the dark, her every invention a defiance of despair. These three are not just characters, they're fragments of a shattered dream, bound together by a bond as fragile as it is fierce. Imagine yourself standing beside them, the cold steel of Boxo's frame against your palm, the heat of Lammy's determination warming the air, the faint scent of Hulami's chemicals stinging your nose. Can you feel the pulse of their world, the way it calls to the part of you that's fought to protect what matters most? What does it mean to be useful when the world you've built lies in ruins? Episode 3 doesn't just ask this. It screams it, its narrative a jagged blade slicing through the heart of complacency. Boxo, a vending machine reborn from a man's obsession, grapples with his own existence. Can a machine truly be a hero, or is he merely a tool, dispensing hope as easily as he does cola? Lammy's, meanwhile, faces the agony of powerlessness despite her strength, her fists clenched against a tide of loss that threatens to drown her. Have you ever felt the sting of being enough yet still failing those you love? This episode lays bare the paradox of survival. To live is to fight, but to fight is to risk losing everything. The philosophical undercurrent here is raw, primal, identity forged in the crucible of crisis. The village's destruction isn't just a plot point, it's a mirror to our own moments of collapse, when the structures we lean on crumble, and we're left to decide who we are in the aftermath. Like the fallen warriors of Troy, or the defiant stand at Thermopylae, this episode asks, what do you cling to when the world demands you let go? It's a question that lingers, heavy as the smoke that chokes the air, urging you to seek answers in the flickering light of Boxo's display. The animation, crafted by Studio Gokumi and Asahi, is no mere backdrop. It's a living, breathing entity. The camera lingers on the village's ruins, each splintered beam and smoldering ember painted with a desaturated palette that feels like grief made visible. Low angles capture Lammy's towering strength, yet her shadow stretches long and lonely, a silent confession of her fear. The maritime ice dispenser transformation, Boxo's absurd, glorious rebellion against his own limitations, is a burst of kinetic energy, the camera swirling around its 18-meter frame like a warrior's dance. Can you see it? The glint of moonlight on steel, the shudder of the earth beneath its weight? The interplay of light and shadow, especially in the opening moments, is a masterstroke. The flickering flames casting faces in half-light, each expression a story untold. This isn't just animation, it's a canvas where despair and defiance collide, painted with a grit that feels like sand under your nails. Some might murmur that the episode's pace falters, a deliberate march through the ashes rather than a sprint. Yet, this isn't a flaw, it's a choice, a slow burn that lets the weight of each loss settle into your bones. Like a requiem played on a single mournful string, the measured tempo allows Lammy's trauma to unfold, her every step a testament to resilience. Others might scoff at the absurdity of a vending machine hero, but isn't that the point? In a world where dragons roar and gods fall, why shouldn't a machine dream of heroism? The flame of doubt always flickers, whispering that such whimsy is folly, yet this episode proves it's a revolution, a defiant middle finger to the mundane. To call it outdated is to miss the spark that sets it ablaze, a spark that burns brighter for its strangeness. Bradio's Mirai Cider opens the episode with a fizzing, defiant energy, its upbeat tempo a stark contrast to the devastation on screen, like laughter in a graveyard. Aina Ibis, Boku Dake no Chihaizen, closes with a haunting lilt, each note a fragile thread tying the characters to hope. But it's the silence that cuts deepest, the moment when the battle pauses, and all you hear is the crackle of flames and Lammy's ragged breath. Can you feel it, the way the absence of sound wraps around your heart, squeezing until you ache for resolution? The soundtrack isn't just music, it's the pulse of a world fighting to be reborn, a melody that lingers like the aftertaste of a bittersweet victory. There's a moment, oh, how it sears, where the tide turns, not with a clash of swords, but with a single, absurd act of defiance. Imagine a choice so bold, so ludicrous, it rewrites the rules of survival itself. It's not just a transformation, it's a declaration realization, a vending machine's roar against the dark. The air grows heavy, the world holds its breath, and suddenly, everything you thought you knew about strength shifts. What is power, really, when it's born from the wreckage of the ordinary? This moment doesn't just change the battle, it changes you, leaving a question burning in your chest. What would you risk to protect the ones you love? This isn't just an episode, it's a gauntlet thrown at your feet, a challenge to step into a world where even a vending machine can defy fate. Reborn as a vending machine, I Now Wander the Dungeon Season 2, Episode 3 doesn't ask for your attention. It demands your soul, your laughter, your tears. Will you walk away, or will you stand with Boxo and Lammies, tasting the ash of their world, feeling the weight of their fight? The answers lie in the flickering light of a village reborn, in the hum of a machine that dares to dream. Watch it, feel it, let it redefine the boundaries of your own courage. The clear Lake Stratum, scarred from battles past, now hums with a different kind of tension, a labyrinth where shadows whisper of treachery and the air tastes of rust and regret. Released on July 23, 2025, Episode 4 drags you deeper into this dungeon's heart, where every step feels like a gamble against fate. At the center is Boxo, the vending machine with a soul, voiced by Jun Fukuyama, whose mechanical monotone cracks with a warmth that betrays his steel shell, a man trapped in metal, yearning to be more than a dispenser of snacks. Can you feel the weight of his glowing display, pulsing like a heartbeat against the dark? Lammies, brought to life by Keith Hondo's voice, raw with both fury and fragility, is a titan of strength whose blessing of might cannot shield her from the sting of doubt. Her fists clench, her eyes burn. Have you ever stood so strong, yet felt so vulnerable? Hulami, with Katomi Ehara's sharp, knowing delivery, is a beacon of wit, her alchemical creations a rebellion against despair, yet her guarded heart hints at wounds unhealed. And then there's Shuei, the archer, voiced by Miyu Tomita, whose playful exterior masks a loyalty tested by whispers of betrayal. Picture yourself beside them, the damp stone underfoot, the faint scent of ozone from Hulami's experiments, the tremor of Boxo's hum in your chest. These are not just characters, they're a constellation of souls, each orbiting the fragile star of trust, pulling you into their orbit with every fraught glance and whispered word. What does it mean to trust when every shadow hides a knife? Episode 4 doesn't just pose this question, it carves it into your soul, its narrative a jagged dance between loyalty and suspicion. Boxo, a machine bound by his own limitations, wrestles with the paradox of being a savior who cannot move, his every dispensed item a plea to be believed in. Lammies, meanwhile, faces the agony of doubt, not just in others, but in herself, her strength a hollow shield against the fear of being betrayed. Have you ever stood at the edge of a bond, wondering if it's a bridge or a trap? This episode lays bare the cost of trust. To open your heart is to risk its breaking, yet to close it is to lose everything. Like the fragile alliances of Game of Thrones or the quiet betrayals of Neon Genesis Evangelion, this episode probes the raw nerve of human connection. It asks, what is loyalty worth when survival demands sacrifice? The philosophical weight is palpable, a heavy fog that settles over the dungeon, urging you to question the bonds you hold dear. It's not just a story, it's a mirror, reflecting the moments when you've weighed trust against fear, and found the scales wanting. Studio Gokumi and Asahi wield animation like a poet wields words, crafting a visual tapestry that breathes with intent. The dungeon's corridors, bathed in a sickly green glow, feel like the inside of a decaying heart, each frame heavy with the weight of unspoken truths. Dutch tilts unsettle you, mirroring the character's disorientation as trust phrase. Tight close-ups on Lammies' eyes, glistening, defiant, yet haunted, pull you into her soul. Can you see it? The way the shadows cling to Boxo's frame, his glowing display a lone star in the dark? The color palette shifts from cold blues to fiery oranges as tensions rise, the animation's texture gritty yet fluid, like a storm brewing in slow motion. This isn't just a visual feast, it's a descent into a world where every frame pulses with the ache of betrayal and the flicker of hope. Some might whisper that the episode lingers too long on quiet moments, its pace a deliberate waltz through doubt. Yet, this isn't a flaw, it's a masterstroke, each pause a breath held, letting the weight of suspicion sink into your bones. Like a samurai's measured stance before a strike, the slow burn builds a tension that a frenetic pace could never match. Others might scoff at the absurdity of a vending machine as a hero, but isn't that the genius of it? The flame of skepticism always flickers, murmuring that such whimsy is outdated. Yet this episode proves it's a revolution, a bold reimagining of heroism that defies convention. To call it frivolous is to miss the spark that ignites it, a spark that burns brighter for its audacity. Bradio's Mirai Cider opens with a defiant fizz, its upbeat rhythm a stark contrast to the episode's creeping dread, like a laugh in the face of doom. Aina Ibis Boku Dake no Chihaizen closes with a tender ache, each note a fragile fragile thread, weaving trust back together. But it's the silence that haunts, the moment when words fail, and all you hear is the creak of stone, the faint drip of water, the unspoken fears hanging heavy in the air. Can you feel it, the way the absence of sound tightens your chest, urging you to lean closer? The soundtrack is a living thing, its motifs curling around scenes like smoke, now soaring with hope, now sinking into despair, a melody that lingers like the aftertaste of a bitter truth. There's a moment, sharp, searing, unforgettable, where trust and betrayal collide, a single act that shatters the fragile balance of the group. It's not a battle, not a clash of steel, but a quiet, devastating choice that ripples through the dungeon like a stone dropped in still water. Imagine the air growing thick, the world tilting as truths long buried rise to the surface, forcing you to question everything. What is loyalty when it's tested not by enemies, but by those you call friends? This moment doesn't just shift the narrative, it cracks it open, leaving a question that burns. Can trust, once broken, ever be rebuilt? This episode isn't just a story, it's a gauntlet, a challenge to step into a world where trust is both salvation and ruin. Reborn as a vending machine, I Now Wander the Dungeon Season 2, Episode 4 demands more than your eyes. It demands your heart, your doubts, your defiance. Will you stand with Boxo, feel the cold steel of his resolve, taste the bitter edge of Lamiz's fear? The answers lie in the shadows of the dungeon, in the hum of a machine that dares to trust. Watch it, live it, let it unravel the fragile threads of your own loyalties. Following the fraught tensions of Episode 4, where trust was tested and betrayals loomed, Episode 5 propels Boxo, Lamiz, and Hulami into a new mission. With the village in the Clear Lake Stratum stabilized but still vulnerable, the trio, accompanied by the Menagerie of Fools, sets out to repair the teleport gate, aiming for the Origin Stratum, a floor rumored to hold a door to the surface. The episode focuses on their journey through treacherous dungeon corridors, Hulami's efforts to jury-rig the gate, and Boxo's innovative use of vending machine features to sustain the group. A surprising encounter with a new character and a perilous obstacle hint at deeper challenges ahead, setting the stage for an analysis of how this episode balances action, character, and world building. The main plot advances with a clear objective, restoring the teleport gate to connect the Clear Lake Stratum to the Origin Stratum, a potential lifeline for the beleaguered villagers. This episode serves as a transitional chapter, moving the narrative from localized survival to a broader quest for escape. I appreciate how it introduces a tangible goal, reaching the surface, while raising new questions about the dungeon structure and the mysterious forces governing it. A key revelation about the gate's mechanics hints at a larger network of interconnected strata, suggesting a world far more complex than previously imagined. However, the pacing feels uneven at times. The journey's early moments drag with repetitive travel scenes, only to rush through a climactic encounter that could have benefited from more breathing room. I think this imbalance slightly undermines the episode's momentum, but the clear progression toward a high-stakes objective keeps the arc's trajectory compelling. Boxo, Lamiz, and Hulami remain the emotional core, with the episode spotlighting their evolving dynamics. Boxo, voiced with a mechanical yet soulful cadence by Jun Fukuyama, reveals a growing sense of agency, using his vending machine ingenuity, dispensing energy drinks and improvised tools to support the team. I find his internal monologue, limited to stock phrases yet brimming with determination, a poignant reflection of his struggle to transcend his form. Lamiz, portrayed by Kid Hondo with a raw mix of resolve and vulnerability, grapples with the weight of leadership, her blessing of might both a boon and a burden as she protects her companions. Her brief moment of doubt, expressed in a quiet exchange with Boxo, reveals a new layer of insecurity, making her more relatable. Hulami, brought to life by Katomi Ehara's sharp delivery, shines as the group's intellectual anchor, her alchemical expertise driving the gate's repair. A new character, a cryptic figure from the Origin Stratum, introduces an element of intrigue, their motives shrouded in ambiguity. I really appreciate how their actions align with their established traits, though I wish the episode had delved deeper into Hulami's past to contextualize her relentless drive. The episode weaves themes of resourcefulness, trust, and the search for freedom into its narrative fabric. Boxo's ability to transform mundane vending machine functions into life-saving tools underscores the idea that strength lies in adaptability, a message that resonates universally. The group's reliance on each other, despite past betrayals, reinforces trust as a fragile yet essential currency in a world of uncertainty. I find the exploration of freedom particularly compelling. The Origin Stratum represents not just escape, but a reclamation of agency in a world that confines. These themes are conveyed through subtle moments, like Boxo's choice to dispense a rare item at a critical juncture, symbolizing sacrifice for the greater good, though I think the writing could have leaned harder into these ideas to amplify their impact. The episode enriches the dungeon's mythology by introducing the Origin Stratum as a hub of potential salvation, salvation, guarded by enigmatic figures and fraught with new dangers. Details about the teleport gate's arcane mechanics hint at a sophisticated magical infrastructure, expanding the world's scope beyond the clear lake stratum's immediate perils. I'm intrigued by the suggestion of a surface world, which adds a tantalizing layer to the series' lore. However, I personally don't understand why the episode didn't explore the origin stratum's culture or inhabitants further, as this could have grounded the stakes in a more tangible reality. The dialogue strikes a balance between functional and evocative, with Boxo's phrases cleverly repurposed to convey urgency or humor. Lammy's heartfelt outbursts carry emotional weight, though some lines veer into cliché territory, particularly during moments of camaraderie. The writing excels in Boxo's internal monologues, which blend wit and existential musings, but I didn't like how certain expository exchanges about the gate's mechanics felt heavy-handed, disrupting the narrative flow. Overall, the script is solid but occasionally lacks the nuance needed to elevate the episode's deeper themes. Studio Gokumi and Ace deliver animation that is functional yet occasionally striking. The dungeon's corridors, rendered in muted greens and grays, evoke a claustrophobic dread, while Boxo's glowing display cuts through the gloom like a beacon. Action scenes, particularly a tense encounter with a dungeon trap, are fluid, with dynamic camera work enhancing the chaos. However, I think the character designs, while faithful to Yuki Hagyur's original illustrations, feel static in quieter moments, with facial expressions lacking the subtlety needed for emotional depth. A visually striking moment, a panoramic shot of the origin stratum's gate glowing against a cavernous void, stands out as a highlight, though I wish the overall quality was more consistent. Director Takashi Yamamoto employs creative shot composition to heighten tension. A low-angle shot of Lammy's standing protectively over Boxo conveys her strength, while a disorienting Dutch tilt during the trap sequence mirrors the group's confusion. The editing, however, feels rushed in the climax, with quick cuts undermining the weight of the moment. I appreciate how the direction uses light and shadow to underscore the episode's mood, particularly in the opening scene, where flickering torchlight casts eerie silhouettes, setting a foreboding tone. Bradio's Mirai Cider injects a burst of energy into the opening, its upbeat rhythm a defiant counterpoint to the episode's tension. Aina Ibis Boku Dake no Chihaizen closes with a melancholic grace, its gentle melody lingering like a whispered promise. The soundtrack's understated synth motifs enhance exploration scenes, though I find them repetitive at times. Sound effects, the clank of Boxo's dispensed items, the creak of dungeon traps, are crisp and immersive, grounding the fantastical setting. I really appreciate how the absence of music during a pivotal moment amplifies the stakes, letting the characters' breaths and footsteps carry the tension. Jun Fukuyama's performance as Boxo is a standout, infusing mechanical phrases with surprising depth, his subtle shifts in tone conveying both humor and heart. Keat Hondo's Lammy's is equally compelling, her voice trembling with conviction in moments of leadership and softening in vulnerability. Katomi Ehara's Hulumi exudes confidence, though I think her delivery could have leaned harder into her character's emotional undercurrents. The new character's voice, shrouded in mystery, adds intrigue, but I anticipate more from their performance as their role expands. This episode evokes a mix of hope and unease, its focus on the quest for freedom tempered by the looming threat of failure. The most memorable moment, a desperate act of ingenuity by Boxo to save the group, left me both thrilled and reflective, highlighting the power of unconventional heroism. I find the episode's emotional resonance strongest in its quieter moments, like Lammy's fleeting glance at Boxo, heavy with unspoken trust. It prompts reflection on the nature of resilience and the lengths we go to for those we care about, though I think its impact could have been deeper with tighter pacing. At its core, Episode 5 grapples with the philosophy of purpose. What does it mean to be useful in a world that demands constant reinvention? Boxo's transformation of mundane vending machine functions into acts of salvation mirrors our own struggles to find meaning in limitations, a lesson that resonates deeply in moments of personal reinvention. Episode 5 of Reborn as a vending machine, I Now Wander the Dungeon Season 2 is a solid, if uneven, chapter that advances the plot and deepens character bonds. Its strengths lie in its inventive premise, strong voice performances, and evocative themes of resourcefulness and trust. However, I didn't like the inconsistent pacing and occasional reliance on cliched dialogue, which temper its impact. Overall, the episode succeeds in setting up a thrilling new arc, though it falls short of fully capitalizing on its emotional and thematic potential. I anticipate that future episodes will build on this foundation, exploring the origin stratum's mysteries and pushing Boxo and his companions to new heights. For now, this episode is a compelling, if imperfect, step forward in a delightfully absurd journey.